Welcome back to my video series where I take you through all the steps that you need to know to build a quadcopter, configure it, and have it ready to take out and fly. And this is the quadcopter that we're working with. Now, depending on how you have worked your way through this playlist, you may have just finished building this quadcopter and you may now be starting your configuration. But if it looks like I've had this quadcopter out and flying for a little bit, that's because I finished the Betaflight configuration for this quadcopter, and now we're going to wipe it all back to square one and start configuring it on iNav. And that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me because I have never built or flown an iNav quad before. But I have done a lot of research. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. In this video in the playlist, we're going to download the iNav Configurator app to our computer, and we're going to flash iNav to the quadcopter. And that's pretty much it. But I figured that's how I did the Betaflight series, so I should just parallel that for the iNav series. Since that's going to be relatively simple to do, I thought I'd take a second and just talk about what the difference is between iNav and Betaflight anyway. And the big difference between iNav and Betaflight is that iNav is focused on autonomous flight. And by autonomous flight, we mean that it's not just a racing drone that you're flying around. It's got a GPS, or maybe it's got a barometer or a compass or a sonar sensor. That the quadcopter has many different kinds of sensors that it can use to fly itself. So if you're looking for an experience a little bit more like a DJI quad, where the quad holds your hand a little bit more or can do things without necessarily having you at the controls every second of the day, like return to home, iNav is the firmware that you want to be looking at. The Betaflight developers just haven't focused that direction. Remember, these guys are all working for free. They're all open source developers working for free in their spare time, and they kind of work on whatever interests them the most. But it's not just that limits where Betaflight and iNav focus. The flight controllers that we use, they have a microprocessor on them, and that microprocessor only has so much space to store the program that they're running, the iNav software or the Betaflight software. And so there's only so much you can do with that amount of space, and it means that there's features that have to be left out. And the Betaflight developers focus on advanced acro and racing piloting, and the iNav developers focus on GPS-assisted flight and stuff like that. In addition to that, another difference between iNav and Betaflight is that iNav focuses not just on multi-rotors, but on many different kinds of vehicle, including fixed wings and even stuff like ground vehicles and boats. You can fly those things on Betaflight, but it's really not, it's a pain in the butt. It's a hassle, and they just really haven't thought about that much at all in Betaflight's development. So the first thing we're going to need to do is install the iNav Configurator, which you can get from this link, which is down in the video description. By the way, the whole playlist for this video series is also down in the video description. If you just stumbled across this video somehow and you want to follow along in the playlist down in the video description. Like half the playlist is Betaflight, and then the other half is this iNav stuff, but I think you can figure out what's what. So we're going to click on iNav Configurator 241, which is the latest release as of the time of making this video. And here we go, iNav Configurator that I'm running on Windows, and I'll download the Win32 configurator. Now that's coming down as a zip file, not as an executable or an installer. When I click on that zip file to open it, I just have a folder here, iNav Configurator. So it looks like this is we're just going to drop this somewhere on our hard drive and run it. It doesn't have an installer or anything like that, like the Betaflight configurator does. Well, fortunately, I have a folder where I put stuff like this called RC Utilities. You could create such a folder if you want. You could also just drop this on your desktop wherever you feel comfortable, but we're going to need to take this file out of the zip file and drag and drop it somewhere else. You can't just double click into it and run it from within the zip file. It won't work. Is that it? Have we done it? And just like that, woohoo, it seems like it's installed. Now, if this is the first time that you've plugged a flight controller into this computer, you're also going to need to install some drivers, the STM32 virtual COM port drivers. And it's a very easy way for you to tell if you've done that. Take your flight controller, take this one, take this one. That's the one we're working with. And plug your flight controller into USB. And what you want to see is that a new COM port appears up here. By the way, this is specific to Windows. If you're running Mac OS or Linux, you don't have to. The drivers come pre-installed on your operating system, and you don't have to install them. Actually, you know what? Some people have told me that on newer builds of Windows 10, the drivers are also pre-installed. So before you go to any hassle trying to install the drivers, just plug it in. And if you see a new, well, on Windows, it's a COM port. On Linux and Mac OS, it's like /dev/tty/us. I don't know. It's you'll see a new thing appear in this pull down menu. And if you're not sure, unplug and it'll go away, and plug it back in and it'll come back. And if you see that happening, you are good to go. In fact, you can select that and you can hit connect and you should see something appear. But if you don't see that, you may need to install the drivers, especially if you're on Windows. I have another video where I take you through all the steps of installing the drivers, and rather than just repeat all that stuff, I'm going to link to that video down in the video description. If you need to install the drivers, then go ahead and follow along that video and come on back here. The next thing we need to do is flash iNav firmware to the flight controller. It's like installing a program on your computer. It's more like installing an operating system on your computer. In order to do that, we're going to need to put the flight controller into what's called bootloader mode. And I already explained how to do this one time in my Betaflight tutorial. So let's just go watch Joshua from the Betaflight tutorial show you how to do that. It is exactly the same for iNav, and then we'll come on back here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug the flight controller into USB. And you may notice this is a little different than the last time you saw it. I've taken the video transmitter off the top and I've disconnected a few things just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to hold down this bootloader button, and holding down the bootloader button and plugging in USB at the same time is how we tell the flight controller we're going to flash new firmware to it, versus just configuring it, which doesn't require you to hold down the bootloader button. So with one finger, I'm going to hold down the bootloader button, and then I'm going to plug in USB. And one way that you know you've successfully plugged in bootloader mode is that notice that none of the lights on the flight controller turned on. Watch, I'll do it again without holding down the button. See how we got this blinking red light, and now it's blinking at us. But when we hold down bootloader, it doesn't do that. Every flight controller is a little bit different, but they will all have they'll be like more subdued. There will be fewer blinky lights when you're in bootloader mode. The other way we know we're in bootloader mode is if we see DFU here in the upper right. That means we're ready to flash the flight controller. If you don't see DFU there in the upper right, then you're not going to be able to flash. You have to see that. On Windows machines, there is sometimes a problem where even when you're in bootloader mode, you don't see DFU. And the workaround for that is a little app called the Impulse RC Driver Fixer. You get the Impulse RC Driver Fixer from this link. I'll put a link in the video description. And when you run that app, it will search for the flight controller, it will install the DFU driver, and it will fix the driver. And when it's done, you'll then unplug, plug back in again while holding down the bootloader button, and you should see DFU in the upper right. Let me just reiterate that whole Impulse RC Driver Fixer thing, you do not have to do that every time. You only do that if when you plug in the USB with the bootloader button held down, you do not see DFU here in the upper right. And then once your drivers are fixed, they'll probably stay fixed. And by the way, Mac users don't have to deal with any of that. This is exclusively a Windows problem. So we're going to follow Joshua's instructions by plugging in USB while holding down the bootloader button. And when we do that, we see DFU up here in the upper right, and we are ready to flash. The next thing we're going to do is go to the Firmware Flasher tab, and we need to choose the board. This is also known as the target. Each flight controller has a different layout and they call it a target, that holds all the specific information that is unique to this flight controller and different for other types of flight controllers. And the correct target for this flight controller is Maytech F405, and the firmware version, we're just going to choose the latest iNav firmware version, which at the time of making this video is 240. We definitely want to enable the full chip erase option, so we erase any leftover Betaflight data that was there. That should be done automatically because the configurator should know that you're flashing between two incompatible firmwares, but it's safer to just enable that option. And that is it. We're going to hit load firmware and then flash firmware. We should see it go through erasing and then flashing and validating, and then it should be done. And once you see programming successful here at the bottom of the screen, you are ready to go. The next thing I'll do is I'll just unplug USB and re-plug it to reboot or power cycle the flight controller. And then I should be able to hit connect here. Son of a configurator. Why would you not be able to connect? Let's try closing and reopening the configurator. Yes. And the next thing that'll happen is the iNav configurator is going to start asking you some questions and asking you to start setting this thing up, which we will do in the next video, which is linked in the playlist, which is linked in the video description. So head on down to that video description, click the playlist, and start watching the rest of the videos. That's going to do it for this one, though. I'm Joshua Bardwell. Hope you learned something today. Happy flying.